Hello!
Hi.
Hello.
It's all very formal. So welcome to July and our little update for you guys. Hope you've had a good June, and the sun is shining here, but when you see this it might be chucking over rain, so who knows, but hopefully you have enjoyed some of the weather whenever that's been coming along. And we've been thinking quite a bit about summer. Maybe because we're starting to think about actually having a break and stopping, which is often what happens at this time of year. But we just want to share some thinking with you about preparing well for the summer and for next term as well. So that's kind of what we wanted to chat about today.
Scarily, we've just been putting in dates for the rest of this year, and then that means we've got to start looking at next year as well. So your thoughts do turn to actually what does it mean to be looking ahead and planning and preparing, and we were thinking what things do you need to take with you into the next season, what might you need to let go of, so that actually you're not just playing catch up and working your socks off during what should be a rest time. And these people here are full of wisdom.
Don't know about that.
So one of the things we were just thinking about was this idea of intentionally resting and looking at maybe August as a month where we're not going to stop because we're exhausted, and that we desperately need a break and we need a holiday, but actually it's okay to plan to have a restful time, to plan to have some time out. So that we go into that well, not stressing and pushing things, trying to get things done before we go, and that we don't come back, particularly into September, with a frantic sense of we haven't done all those things that we thought we were going to do over the summer. So actually planning well for a period of rest is really, really important.
Yeah, I was thinking about beforehand when we were talking earlier that actually with many of our roles that we're people that are everywhere, and our jobs are a little bit like that as well. We can be doing multiple things at multiple times, and actually the whole concept of being allowed to rest is quite liberating, and actually getting ourselves in a position where we are organised or are being efficient with our time. So like Joe said, what is good that we can carry on, bring forward, and what can we leave behind. So just getting those things kind of in line and in order to allow yourself physically the rest, but also mentally the rest. I don't know about you, but for me, definitely, I'm a person that finds it hard to say no. So I can definitely add more to my load. And sometimes you feel like you hit capacity. So like we were saying, you hit exhaustion mode. So then you're just waiting for the holiday period to I need to stop. But actually it's just having that, almost that set time to say, no, this is the time of rest, we're allowing that. So what do we need to do in preparation for that? I think that was some really wise words that we were saying before, really, is allowing yourself that space to do that. Yeah.
So one of the places and one of the things that drives us often is, right, what's the programme going to be for September, and trying to get all of that sorted and in place. And actually Barry's got some good practice, especially with our younger people, our teens and young adults. But it's also worth taking some tips from the world of teaching. Teachers will know that when they come back in September, actually they will need to go back to where the children were, not just at the end of term, but a little bit further back than that. And that there will be some regrouping, and what does this new cohort of children, what are the relationships like between them, what different parents might we be working alongside as well. So I think one of the things that we're saying is, don't feel you've got to step straight into programme straight away. If that is even your way, if you do things in a programmatic way, which a lot of people do need to do because it's the right way to organise things. But to actually give your children, your groups, an opportunity to look back at where they've come from, do a little bit of I'm trying not to use the word revision, but we're just finding out where is their learning, where are they up to, and where would we like to go with them.
Yeah. And
with the older ones,
I think all of that stuff's really valid with older groups and youth groups, but I think also that for me is that mindset of saying, well, actually this is a new group. We've probably had some of the older ones move on, whether they've gone off to university or they're too old for youth group now. Sometimes kids when they hit year 11 or year 13 start to disengage anyway because pressure's on them, so they might be less influential, less sporadically in the group. And then hopefully you've got a whole cohort of new year 7s that have come into the group. And we all know when we do group dynamic stuff that you make 1 or 2 changes like that into a group and it completely resets the group and it is a kind of storming phase again. And so if you're in that space, then actually embrace that rather than breaking that. Spend some time doing some team building and some group stuff and rebuilding relationships, and then work with the group to help them identify what their needs are. What are the things that they want to talk about? What are they discussing? What are the topics they might want to cover off? How do they want to take this next period of time together? And before you know it, you can be at the end of September and you've just done that stuff, but that's really forming the group and setting you up well. And then you can start planning program for the rest of the autumn and into the winter and those kind of things. So you can take your time around that stuff, which means you haven't got to hit the ground running on the first week of September with a massively well planned out program and loads of resources and everything. You can grow into that together with the young people, which empowers them to do that as well.
Yeah. I was thinking about the reconnecting as well. So, like, following on from what both of you have just said, we all know how we feel, don't we, when you've had your big summer break or you've had a big period of leave for whatever reason. Actually, it can feel sometimes quite daunting going back into either work or school. And I often think about that even with families in church. Quite often people aren't attending as regularly in church or at different things that we have on through those big chunks of the holidays. So actually to have a time perhaps in the early September period of where you're reconnecting and re-establishing relationships, just to set the groundwork again that this is safe, this is fun, we all know who we are, and you take away any anxiety over, we haven't done this for a while, do we still want to be doing this? I think is also really important. I know many people around the diocese hold days where they meet together for picnics or barbecues or just to regroup, to build connection, before those kind of programs get set in. So I think that's also a really important thing to allow that reconnection and that re-establishment of relationship within our congregations and our communities. So another thing I'll be taking away for sure.
Yeah, and don't forget that they will want to be invited back as well.
Yes.
We step outside of something and we need to be reminded that we are invited, that this is a legitimate place to be. A really, really, really important thing. And that whole thing that people don't put an email on the mantelpiece or on the fridge, but actually a physical invitation can be really, really valuable to people. And children love getting them.
So we really hope that you do get some time out this summer, that you get some time to reset for yourself, that you get time that isn't just come from exhaustion, but has come from a place of being intentional about rest and taking time to rest, to recreate yourself, to reconnect with God, all of those things. And that you come back into September not fearful and frantic, but come back into the new academic year fresh and ready to embrace whatever's in store for you then. So have a great summer. We're around. I think we get a holiday, don't we? Some of us get some time off. But do keep in contact. When you have got that space in your diary, if you want to meet up, then give us a shout, and we will look forward to seeing you all in the autumn.
Yeah, we'd like to hang out in the park and drink coffee or
any barbecues on offer.
Barbecues, definitely barbecues. Yeah.
Have a good summer, everyone.
Have a good summer.
Bye.
Bye.